Good afternoon, respected assessor, lecturer, colleagues, and fellow students. Have you ever experienced a misunderstanding that could have been avoided with just one clear conversation? Take a moment to reflect on that question. Now, imagine that misunderstanding occurring in an early childhood institution between a teacher and a parent, among colleagues, or even when important information about a child's well being is not communicated effectively. The consequences can extend far beyond confusion. They can affect trust, relationships, decision making, and ultimately the quality of care and education that children receive. Communication is far more than exchanging words. It is the bridge that connects educators, parents, children, and a wider community. Every conversation has the power to build trust, strengthen partnerships, resolve challenges, and shape a child's future. When communication is purposeful, respectful, and professional, it creates an environment where children feel safe, families feel valued, and educators work together towards a common goal. Today, we invite you to discuss how mastering effective communication can transform not only our places, but also the lives of children and families we serve. Our presentation is entitled Promoting Effective Communication in an Early Childhood Institution. The purpose of this presentation is to explore practical and professional communication strategies that strengthen collaboration, promote confidentiality, enhance teamwork, improve relationships with families, and support the holistic development of every child. Through the scenario presented, we will be demonstrating how effective communication, not simply a workplace skill, it is the foundation of quality early childhood education and exceptional client service. Throughout this presentation, we will examine common communication challenges faced within an early childhood institution, discuss practical strategies for overcoming these challenges, and demonstrate how effective communication contributes to a positive, inclusive, and professional learning environment. By the end of our presentation, we hope you will recognize that every meaningful interaction has the potential to inspire confidence, strengthen partnerships, and positively influence a child's lifelong learning journey. Without further delay, let us begin. Today we're going to look on why effective communication matters. We know that it matters because it builds trust, as was said, it strengthens partnerships, it promotes children development, and it encourages teamwork, and most of all, creates a positive learning environment. All right, we will now move over into our scenario section before we go on. Mrs. Sherwood?
Okay, Mrs. Levy, thank you. All right, so before discussing the strategies, it is important to understand the situation facing our institution. Our scenario centers on an early childhood institution that has recently experienced several communication challenges. Parents have expressed concern because they are not receiving timely information about their children's progress or school activity. Staff members are experiencing misunderstanding due to inconsistent communication, and confidential information has occasionally been discussed in an appropriate setting. Now, in addition, meetings often lack structure, new staff members receive limited orientation, and children records are sometimes incomplete or not up to date on time. As a result, relationships have become strained, teamwork has declined, and the overall quality of service has been affected. Although these challenges may seem small individually, together they have created barriers that impact children, family, educators, and the institution as a whole. Our presentation will now explore practical solutions to address this issue and promote a culture of effective communication. Our role play looks at one conversation can change everything.
Good communication is essential in every early childhood institution. However, when communication breaks down, misunderstanding can quickly arise. Let us see what happens when a parent feels unheard and how effective communication can turn the situation around. Now, scene one is the misunderstanding. Mrs. Brown enters looking concerned.
Good morning, Miss Williams. I am very surprised yesterday when my daughter came home crying because she said she fell on the ground. No one contacted me. And this isn't the first time I have been left unaware of something concerning my child. I'm really disappointed.
Oh, I saw the office already called you. I was supervising another group of children and assumed someone else had informed you.
Well, no one did. As a parent, I deserve to know when something happened to my child. And now I'm wondering what else being told.
Principal notices the conversation and approaches calmly. Scene 2 would be the effective communication.
Good morning, Miss Brown. I sincerely apologize for your experience. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Let's discuss this privately so we can fully understand what happened and find solution.
They stepped slightly aside.
Miss Williams, thank you for explaining the situation honestly. Going forward, we must ensure that any incident involve a child is communicated promptly to both the office and the child's parents. Clear communication is everyone's responsibility.
You are absolutely right. I should never assume someone else had contacted Miss Brown. I will make sure I follow the reporting procedure every time.
Thank you. I really appreciate being listened to. I understand accidents happen, but being informed immediately gives me more confidence that my child is safe and cared for.
We value your partnership. Mrs. Brown, your child's well-being is our priority and we are committed to improving our communication with all families.
This simple conversation demonstrates that effective communication is built on active listening, accountability, professionalism, empathy, and teamwork. By communicating openly and respectfully, misunderstandings can be resolved, trust can be restored, and strong partnerships can be maintained, all of which contributes to a safe, supportive, and high quality learning environment for every child.
As we have just witnessed, one conversation can either damage trust or strengthen relationship. Our role play highlights how effective communication can resolve misunderstanding and build positive partnership within an early institution, childhood institution. We will now explore the communication strategy that every educator can use to create collaborative, professional, and child-centered learning environment.
Why effective communication matters. Mrs. Willox, can you shed some light? Effective communication is the foundation of every successful early childhood institution. It enables educators to share information accurately, work collaboratively, and build positive relationships with families. It also creates a safe, inclusive, and supportive environment where children feel respected and understood. When communication is effective, everyone benefits. Teachers work more efficiently, parents become active partners in their children's education, conflicts are resolved more professionally, and children receive consistent support both at home and at school. Simply put, effective communication strengthens the entire learning community.
Communication challenges. Based on our sensory, several communication barriers were identified. These include limited communication between staff and parents, poor teamwork amongst educators, breach of confidentiality, misunderstanding due to unclear instruction, in, in ineffective meeting, incomplete documentation, lack of orientation for new employees. Each of these challenges affects the institution ability to provide quality education and maintain positive professional relationships. Reconciling these barriers is the first step towards finding meaningful solutions. I will now turn over to our next presenter.
All right, thank you. So as you said, recognizing these barriers is the first step towards finding meaningful solutions. Now we're going to be looking on strategies for effective communication. And to overcome these challenges, several professional communication strategies can be implemented. First, educators should practice effective listening by providing their full attention and responding with empathy. Second, communication should always be respectful. clear, and it should be timely and minimize misunderstanding. Providing constructive feedbacks encourages continuous improvement while maintaining positive relationships. Finally, nonverbal communication includes eye contact, facial expressions, and body language, which should always be reinforced. And it should be reinforced with respect, professionalism, and and understanding. Sorry. Together, these strategies create an atmosphere of trust and collaboration. So we have to make sure that we read the room and communicate properly. Um, we'll now move over to building strong partnerships with parents. Mrs. Sherwood.
Okay, thank you, Miss Levy. Um, parents are a child's first teacher. Making effective communication with families essential. Schools can strengthen partnerships by providing regular progress updates, organize parent meetings, sharing information through communication, books or digital platform, and encourage two-way communication. When parents feel informed, respected, and included, they become active partners in supporting their child's learning and development. Strong partnership ultimately lead to better educational outcomes for every child.
Professional communication among strong staff. Professional communication among colleagues is equally important. Regular staff meetings, collaborative planning sessions, and clearly defined roles promotes consistency and teamwork. Respectful communication fosters a positive workplace culture where staff feel valued, motivated, and confident in sharing ideas. When when educators work together effectively, children experience a more consistent and supportive learning environment.
Thank you, Mrs. Willox. Now we will be looking on confidentiality and ethical practice. Ms. Willox.
Confidentiality and ethical practice. Maintaining confidentiality is both an ethical and professional responsibility. Information relating to children and families should only be shared with authorized individuals and always in a private setting. Children's records should be stored securely, and discussion regarding sensitive matters must remain confidential. By protecting personal information, educators demonstrate professionalism, integrity, and respect while building trust with families.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Willox. We'll now look at conflict resolution. We'll have Mrs. Reed Clark speak on conflict resolution.
Good afternoon, everyone. So conflict is invincible in any workplace. However, it should always be managed professionally. Effective conflict resolution begin with active listening, remain calm, identifying the root cause of the issues, discussing possible solution, collaborating, agreeing on appropriate action, and follow up to ensure the matter has been resolved. Addressing conflict respectfully strengthen the relationship rather than damaging them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Reed Clark. All right, so now we will be looking on meetings, orientation, and record keeping. We'll have Ms. Thomas shed some light on how important it is.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Levy, and good evening, everyone. Effective meetings should have clear agendas, encourage participation, and conclude with agreed action and responsibilities. Equally important is a comprehensive orientation program that introduces new staff to communication policies, confidentiality procedures, institutional expectation, and documentation practices. Accurate record keeping ensure continuity of care, supports informed decision making, and reflect professional accountability. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Thomas. We'll now speak on benefits of effective communication. Mrs. Reed Clark.
Thank you. So implementing these strategies offer many benefits. It strengthens teamwork, improve parents' engagement, enhance professionalism, protect confidentiality, increase trust, reduce conflict, and most importantly, create a nurtured environment where every children can flourish. Effective communication is therefore not simply a skill. It is the cornerstone of excellence in early childhood education.
you. And as you can see, it says how the benefit is that when we have effective communication, better teamwork has been displayed. We have strong parent partnerships. We also have improved child outcomes, and we have increased trust, higher professionalism, and better service delivery. So benefits of effective communication is very important because not only you will benefit, but everybody will benefit in this situation, right? No. Today's key message is that effective communication is not simply about exchanging information. It's about building trust, making sure that we strengthen relationship, we protect confidentiality, and working collaboratively to provide every child with the highest quality of care and education. As we conclude, we are reminded that communication influences every aspect of an early childhood institution, from welcoming families and supporting colleagues to safeguarding confidential information and advocating for children. Every interaction matters. When communication is purposeful, respectful, and professional, it strengthens relationships, it improves collaboration, it creates positive outcomes for children, families, educators, and the wider community, as we have said in the beginning, right? So let us continue to communicate with empathy, with integrity, and professionalism, recognizing that every conversation is an opportunity to make a meaningful difference in a child's life. We want to thank you for your attention. And as we are about to close, but before we close, I want to see if we have some good listeners based on what we have just discussed. I'll be asking a few questions. Anybody can answer randomly, and those questions are not for anybody specific, but for anybody at all to answer. Right. The first question that I would like for you to answer is that if a parent becomes hungry, and we know that happens very regularly once you're dealing with parents and communication breakdown happen. We will have all of that, and it can be a child going home to report something to their parents, and the parent come upset because they think that teacher did not report to them, or a good job wasn't done with communication. Then we will always have some problem, but it's how we resolve the problems, right? So my first question is, if a parent becomes angry and begins shouting at you in front of other parents, how would you handle the situation professionally based on all of what we have just spoke about?
May I answer this question, please?
Yes, you may.
First, I would remain calm, respectful, and avoid responding emotional. I would acknowledge the parents' concerns and politely invite them to continue the conversation in a positive, in a in a in a private area, to maintain confidentiality and professionalism. I would would actively listen without interrupting, and, and emphasize with their concern, and work collaboratively to find a suitable solution. My goals would be to resolve the issue while proceeding a positive relationship and ensuring the child's best interest remained the priority. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Miss Thompson. Right. So I see that she have made her notes, but thank you for sharing that information. So as she said, she will remain calm, respectful, and avoid responding emotionally, because that's our nature to respond based on how we things have happened or actions are taken. We tend to respond with emotion and we think before. Right. Another question that I would like to ask too is that how can teachers encourage parents who rarely participate in schools activities to become more involved?
Okay, I like to answer that one for you.
Okay, all right. Thank you,
No,
Miss Sherwood.
yes, no. I believe it starts with building trust and making parents feel welcome rather than judged. I would communicate regularly through newsletters, WhatsApp messages, phone calls, and parent teachers conference. I would also offer flexible opportunity to involve, recognize that some parents have work or personal commitments. Even small gestures such as inviting them to share feedback or participate in a simple classroom activity that can strengthen the home-school partnership.
Thank you, Miss Sherwood. Very well done, well done, well said. All right. I have two more questions before we close off. All right. Why is it that confidentiality is so important in an early childhood institution? Anybody quickly?
I would like to answer that question, madam.
Go ahead.
So confidentiality is essential because it protects the privacy, dignity, and right of children and their family. Parents trust editors with sensitive information, and it is our professional and ethic responsibility to ensure that information is only shared with authorized persons. when necessary, maintaining confidence, strengthen trust, and protect the institution, reputation, and demonstrate professional and integrity.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Reed Clark. So as she said, parents trust educators with sensitive information. That means we should keep it confidential. Thank you. The last question. What is the most important lesson you have learned while preparing with the presentation?
Can I answer that question?
Yes, and that would come from one of my teammates because we have been the one that have prepared it. So what have you learned?
Well, one of the most valuable lessons I've learned is that communication is not simply about speaking, it's about listening with empathy, showing respect, and building meaningful relationships. Effective communication also influences every aspect of an early childhood institution, from teamwork and conflict resolution to parents' engagement and children's well-being. I now have even gathered greater appreciation for how one respectful conversation can positively impact a child's family and the entire school and community.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your thoughtful questions and your attention throughout our presentation. We trust that our discussion has highlighted the importance of effective communication in fostering positive relationship, professionalism, and high-quality early childhood education. We appreciate the opportunity to share our knowledge with you, and we hope our presentation inspires continued collaboration in creating nurturing environments where every child can thrive. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and it was our pleasure to deliver our message.
Thank you as well.
For having
Thank you.